Hi there, my name is David Bellman. I'm a home builder, a semi-custom, custom home builder from Wisconsin. And as well, I also host a podcast called The Home Building Hero. So I talk a lot about industry design trends and things that we see in the housing market, all the way from just anything, economics to how the government regulations affect the home building business, to the trends and things that I see not only here, but at the builder show and things like that. So that's what I'm gonna bring to the table. And here we go. So we're gonna talk a little bit about creating an ideal home office. And obviously, as John mentioned, this is a huge shift in the industry because, a couple years ago, we were still putting, home offices in houses, but we just made the space, and then we just kind of left it, and we let the customer fill it in. And we're really doing our clients a disservice at this point when we do that, because that's really one of the number one needs. It's really one of the main reasons why people are moving out of their houses or they're remodeling, because they don't have the appropriate workspace, whether it's for themselves or for their kids, because that's another big thing. A lot of kids had to stay at home and do their schoolwork, virtually, and some still do. Some are still homeschooled, so we don't have the right spaces provided for them. So we're going to talk a little bit about some ideas that I saw that I wanted to bring to the table. Now, most of the photos, I'm going to be full disclosure here, most of these are taken from house, because even some of the projects that I've done recently, I didn't like the photography, so I found really cool stuff online. And so if one of your projects is here, congratulations, you got featured. So here we go. Let's talk about design for a little bit. So the first thing is we really have to just be more cognizant about working with your clients. So really take the opportunity to ask them a few extra questions than you normally would. Are you going to be working from home? Are both of you working from home? Do you have kids that are homeschooled? Those are the kind of things that you want to start to get under, your understanding right away. And then kind of discuss not only the needs that they have for right now, but what they think might happen in the future. Because with any work from home stuff, that's ever evolving. So whether it's, you got kids in high school and now they're going to college, and how's that going to change their life and their lifestyle and the usage? You want to start to figure those things out and help them navigate those solutions. And
David, do you have a detailed question set that really gets into some of these particulars, like what amount of time are you doing video conferencing? Is that video conferencing in-house with staff versus presenting to clients? Do you dig into that sort of stuff?
That's a great question. I don't specifically yet, but as I was putting this together, I'm actually, that's one of my little notes, is creating like templates to go through with clients and asking the right questions. And, we all have to be better about asking the right questions. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, and use them appropriately and proportionately. So really that's a big part of it. But if you can have some questions like that and laid out, I think that's a great strategy to get you started, to make sure that you're really helping them the way that you can.
Yeah.
And then, the biggest thing is we have to be problem solvers. So find out what problems they're facing right now that you can solve for them. And that's the same thing with the questions. That's how you're going to learn that is, are you doing video conferencing? Are you streaming things, or whatever it is that you need in your office? I just had a client approach me the other day. We're doing a custom build for them, and I sent him some sites that I found for him. And before he came back and talked to me, he had eliminated most of them because he was checking the Wi-Fi and the signal data for the cable services and things in the area, and he eliminated a lot of them because they didn't have enough speed for him, for his IT business. So those are things that customers are thinking about that we may not be. Okay, so one of the things is we have to look at some different design elements. So one of the things I want to talk about a little bit too is having like dual work areas. So a lot of families now, especially if they're moving out rural areas, they're going to maybe both need to work from home. So creating maybe a dual work zone. I did one office for a client where we did a custom desk for them, and there was a divider in the middle, and they each had their own desk on either side, and they actually like working in the same space and stay married. That's kind of interesting. No, whatever. So we designed this custom setup for them, and they worked out of the same spot, which was pretty cool. But I also like these kind of dual desk designs. You can kind of see it in the background of the picture a little bit. These are great in like hallways. Like if you have a wider hallway, doing a built-in desk or something like that. Great for homework. Just a spot for kids to do their work. So those are some
It's
ideas.
interesting. We talked about being alone together. I mean, to some extent, working together, but having the solitary activity. And I remember when I worked from home, my daughter she had a desk across the desk from me.
Okay.
And I grilled her on her writing.
There you go. Well, you know what they're doing.
She had a no BS sticker on her monitor because, like, let's read this out loud. That's bullshit.
Well, there's something to be said about that because especially with kids with homeschool, there's a lot of parents that are concerned about the content that they're consuming. So if you're still there working, you can kind of have an eye over the shoulder a little bit, or you can make sure they're not playing Roblox or something instead of doing schoolwork. So I mean, there makes some sense to being in the same area for work.
Yep.
Lighting is obviously very important. We've talked about that all throughout this conference and previous ones. Any work area, you always want to try and have natural light, of course, that's preferred. LED lighting is great, and I put a lot of it in. I mean, almost all my houses now, it's just straight LED everything. But then you also have to consider the dimmers and things to make sure that you're getting, if it's too bright or, sometimes people get headaches with too much light. So you want to be able to manage that. Your shades, of course.
That's really an interesting challenge. The lighting, we've talked a lot about lighting the whole run through here, but like we need office productivity lighting sometimes in that office, and it's like, where am I? Am I at home or am I at office? And I need total utility and focus, and so that's a tricky one to work through.
Yeah, and the days of just the dome light in the ceiling aren't going to cut it anymore if you're going to be working that much.
Tunable's the answer.
Yep. Yeah, tunable. And at one of the last tech home summits I was at, when they started talking about Kelvin levels and things like that, that was really eye-opening to me because there's just way more that goes into it than we realize, and I'm certainly not the expert at that. But I also looking at multiple lighting, so whether you have some can lighting, what kind of fixtures, especially if you're doing built-ins, maybe you want some under cabinet lighting as well to light your work surface. Some people still like the table lamp. You want to just make sure maybe you put a floor outlet in and things like that. So some of it's just very simple. You can always do good, better, best, but those are all things you want to consider within your design. And then storage is a big thing because unfortunately, if you're working at home, you're probably going to be accumulating clutter. So this is just a picture I found that I thought was really well done. As far as creating some built-in storage areas, you can see that they've got the cabinets, they've got the pull-out drawers, and then they have some nice, open shelves that just can display things just to make it more aesthetically pleasing. The other thing is really big too is built-in file drawers. Because again, if you're working from home, you got to store documents. You might need to lock something up if you got something sensitive. Maybe you got younger kids, you just don't want them, writing with their crayon on an important file or something like that. And then making sure you're creating ample work surface. For us as builders, we're pulling out these huge blueprints and things like that, and you need that space just to work. And here's some more examples of some good storage ideas. I liked on this one how they had kind of this device. You can just see it off to the right-hand side where they have all their office supplies hung on the wall. I just thought that was kind of cool. And then check out the printer where that pulls out of a cabinet. Like, how cool is that? So you don't have all this equipment laying on top of your desk. So I thought that was a neat use of storage. And then, of course, you also have to factor in power and connectivity. So those USB charging outlets are awesome. They have those new ones now, too, that have the lights on them. So you can look at it from a distance and see, like, your phone is still at a red level, or yellow, it's still charging, or green, it's fully charged. And then, look at putting additional outlets and power in those rooms because people are plugging a lot of stuff in. So I would definitely consider adding more outlets. Again, the USB outlets are great. Maybe even potentially putting in a chase pipe from the first floor, from if you have a basement like I have in my market, run that. So that way, if you need to change your wiring or update it, you can easily do that and not have any extra expense later.
You do want a hardwired connection to your laptop for video conferencing.
Absolutely. I'm still a big believer in hardwire, but then also look at Wi-Fi boosters. We're putting in a lot of Wi-Fi boosters in our homes to make sure that you've got signals all throughout.
What do you disagree with? Or are you just giving me a hard time? You don't want a hardwired connection for video conferencing?
Hardwired connection for sure. I'm not a big fan of the booster, though.
Are you? Okay.
Yeah, you've got bandwidth issues and potential network
Boosters
problems.
are bad, WAPs are good.
WAPs are good.
Okay,
boosters are
there you
bad.
go.
Yep.
Everyone know what a WAP is? Wireless access point.
Okay.
Yeah.
One more thing I'd add to that, and a little bit with the connectivity. As a female that is always office from home, to your other picture, I can't sit in front of a wall. I have to be looking out of a
Is this the one you're?
Yeah.
Okay.
So when you said put in those those floor outlets and all that connectivity to the builders. Really consider that in a home office space because I don't know about you guys, I can't face a wall and be productive. I have to be looking out my window.
Yeah, and that's a good question to ask your clients too. Is what's your ideal work environment like?
I appreciate that you ask them that. See, they don't know what they don't know. So that's just something I would input.
Probably depends on the personality and the job, right? You're creative, you need to look out the window and dream. Yeah.
And then we also need to factor in comfort and air quality because again, if you're going to be in this room all day, you don't want to feel like you're in a prison. So just again, having a good atmosphere, cleaner air. Obviously, Brown has the Overture system, which is really cool, which you can just kind of plug in, maybe put in, a vented fan. Otherwise, there's a lot of other companies out there with really great air quality solutions. But you want to have the temperature be the controlled level that you want, and then also the air quality to be sufficient for you as well. So factor those things in as well. Those are good upsell points for you as a builder as well. There we go. And then, of course, since we have the Hunter Douglas rep here as well, shades, privacy, Crestron, automatic controls. So you have like your good, better, best,
Shades are us.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so
Tech home builder.
yeah, exactly. So manual blinds or wood blinds, honeycombs, obviously just for standard window treatments, but then start looking at implementing electronic controls or then go smart or intelligent blinds as well. So just depends on what level your consumer is. You can kind of fit a solution for them. And then of course, access. This is something people don't think about, but there's a lot of people that have home businesses and then they have guests come over. Do you really want your guests trampling through your whole house? Probably not. So if you can design a home appropriately where you have a separate access point just for your business, think about that. That's nice to have. That way you can kind of maintain some privacy with the rest of your home. And then of course, looking at storage and locking things or again, trying to create some sort of privacy. I have a house that we designed recently where we have this little tiny office. It's just like a 6-foot, it's a condo, so they're real small. But then we put like a sliding barn door over it so that they can access it and they can go in there and do a Zoom call, shut the door, have at least some semblance of privacy. So think about those kind of things as well. And then of course, noise reduction. That's another big thing, especially if you're doing a lot of video conferencing. You need noise reduction, not only for what you're doing, maybe for the rest of the home, but also potentially protecting your home in case your kids are running around on the big wheel or something on the wood floors. You want to be able to make that room so it's quieter. So they have all sorts of really cool foam panels. I like these hexagon things that I showed there. You can actually pin little pictures up on it, but it also does some sound attenuating properties. Looking at adding some fabrics and things like that. I'm sure you'll talk about that with the furniture design a little bit more, but you want to think about that. And then just being creative with the use of space, like putting built-ins in a loft area like this. I love these kind of things. Again, great spots for kids to do homework, or maybe it's just a spot to pay bills and organize your mail and everything. These are cool too, like putting the benches under the windows. I did this recently for a client. It turned out awesome. So we did bookcases on either side of the window, and then we put a bench underneath the window so you had somewhere to sit, but it just kind of gave you some extra storage. And I think those are really kind of a good opportunity to use a space that you wouldn't maybe normally fill with anything. And then again, here's another example of a great loft area where you got that open concept, maybe a little bit wider space, doing a built-in desk there. That way you kind of still feel like you're part of the family. I built a home for my attorney, and he's like, I want my office to be kind of open so I can be working, but still feel like I'm around my family. So
Interesting.
there you go.
Very good. Thank you so much, David.